Welcome to the Lavanda. Damn it. Damn it. I am so sorry. Let's do this again. Welcome to the Here and Now Show. I am your host, Lavonda Ray. And first of all, I would like to start off by saying I want to thank all my viewers and anyone that choose to come in today and listen and sit with me today. I want to say thank you and thank you for coming out to the show. And if you don't know, from some of you may not know or you do know, I'm coming from the Midwest, the state where we show in and show out. Gotta love your city. The Here and Now Show is a show where I take real life events that I've been through and turn it into a positive living. The show has also created a space to where you can feel free to come and talk about your feelings without any judgment, because I believe that all voices matter and that you can control your future as long as you can control your mind. So, with that being said, welcome to the Here and Now Show. And we can start the show in a few moments. I know that you hear the jazz music in the background, but I like jazz music. Jazz music kind of sets the atmosphere for me for my show, and so I hope you guys can sit back and enjoy the atmosphere with me. So let's just take it in for a minute, a few seconds, and just set the atmosphere. Set the atmosphere. Set the atmosphere. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back to the Here and Now Show. I am your host, Lavonda Ray. And as you can see from today's topic, and if you don't see, I'll gladly tell you. Today's topic is trusting your inner thoughts so you can build a better future that you deserve. Now, that right there, I think is a great topic, and I want to talk about it today. And if you're able to tap into my show stream yesterday, I did a show on when to stay and when to go. And I talked about, I shared how you should, if it's meant for you to go, and if it's meant for you to stay, I don't know what's wrong with me today, but I'm not perfect. But my stream yesterday, I streamed, if you got a chance to check me out, I was on my podcast and I spoke about when to stay, when to go. And I shared, that if you in a place where it's bringing you growth and it's giving you peace, then you should stay. But if it's bringing you constant pain and it leaves you with thoughts that you don't understand, then it's probably meant that you probably shouldn't be there, especially if it's draining you instead of gassing you up, is draining the hell out of you, you know and if that does that, then that's probably a reason why you probably wouldn't want to stay in a situation that's not meant for you to be there. Which brings me back to my topic. This topic, trusting your inner thoughts and to build a better future that you deserve, is in beautiful alignment with my motto and my quote that I quoted and I wrote, is take a leap of faith, dreams do come true. That to me, it speaks to women and anyone or whoever has had doubt in themselves. This is, to me, it's powerful and it's empowering to me. And I wanted to share that with you guys. So many times in my life, I can remember when I didn't listen to that inner voice in my head, and it cost me, And so I want to share, I want to open up, and I want to share, something that if I would have listened to the inner thought in my head, then certain things would not happen. So as I share this story, I just want you to sit back and listen, and maybe you can understand, and maybe you can, and maybe you just simply want to listen, and you maybe can relate. You know, um, I'm a mother of three daughters. At this time, I was in my 30s, and I was living life like a 30-year-old. But I mean, I had my own home, I had a job, my kids would they were cared for, et cetera, et cetera. But I never really personally lived life on the edge, even though I hung around several people that did, and they were the opposite of me. They were more apt to do certain things versus me. I might think about it more or less. I thought about it before I did, and sometimes that actually saved me a lot of times. But at this particular moment and phase and event in my life, I should have very well listened to my inner voice. As I said, I was in my 30s, and I went out a lot. And this particular night, I hung out with some friends of mine that I would go out with a lot. And we would go out, we would hang out. And this particular night, me and the girls went out, and we were hanging out, and we partied. And I didn't do much drinking. I'm actually a big weed smoker, so me drinking, I might have had maybe a shot. I'm just not a big drinker. But besides that, the night was young. We get out the club, and it's like 1 o'clock. And we're riding around after the club, as you do when you get out the club. Well, we end up at a local strip club parking lot. Um, they parked the vehicle, and they knew some people that were dancing in a strip club. And at that time, I'm like, I don't really want to go inside, but I didn't tell them that. And that was my first mistake, was not telling them, hey, you guys go on in, and I'm gonna stay, and walk the parking lot, which one was unsafe, and two, I should have did that. My inner voice said, go with the people you came with, but the fear in me said, stay. Um, and so they proceed to go in the club. Now, mind you, they don't know. The last thing they know is that I was out in the parking lot talking to some people. And as a fact, I was talking to some people that lived on my block. We all knew each other, and these particular individuals happened to be doing basically what we were doing, riding around the strip club parking lot. And I see them. I'm like, hey, y'all, what y'all? Like nothing, we're going to the after party. Now, if you don't know what the after party is, I'll give you a little light. After party is more or less, you go to one party, and then there's an after party that lasts until like 5 in the morning. Okay. So anytime after 2 o'clock is an after party. And so I'm like, hell yeah, I want to ride, I ride, we all live in the same neighborhood, motherfuckers can drop me off, when we get done partying, what have you. The night was still young. Again, inner voice, tell your friends you are leaving with other people, and telling them, they might have would have been like, no, you don't need to go, we're not going out of town to the after party, we'll take you home if you're bored. But I did not give them that opportunity, because I left. We get down the highway, we go party, and we split up. They went their way, I went my way, but at the end of the night, when it was time to go home, we all rode together. I was on the passenger side, with one individual who drove there. Now, when we got back into my neighborhood, there is a four-way stop sign. Okay. And the four-way stop sign, the four-way stop sign means there are streets that can go four ways. Now, there were also, not only was it a four-way stop sign towards, up the road from my house, it was also several ways you could get to my house. So we get back into Columbia. It wasn't far, it was like 30 minutes out. We get back into the hometown, and The first individual that's driving, individual's like, hey, this is my such and such car. They can't see you driving this car into the neighborhood. So the individual that was driving put the car in park, gets out at the stop sign, not the four-way stop sign, at the top of the street before we reach the four-way stop sign. Now, mind you, my house is literally 60 seconds around the corner walking. Okay, so four-way stop sign, house is right there. And so the individual says, okay, well, then I should get out the car because if it's, they don't want to see me driving to the neighborhood and blah, blah, blah. So the individual gets out of the out of the driver's side and proceeds to go into the back side of the seat. The individual who made that statement gets inside of the driver's side. I'm still in my seatbelt, Unfortunately, and this is true, I was not under the alcohol influence. I was just high. Everyone in the vehicle were very much under something. Um, the individual gets in the vehicle. The vehicle was in a BMW, small four-door BMW. Um, Driver then gets in the car. Not seatbelt's not on. My seatbelt was on just because, just that's who I am. Gets in the vehicle and proceeds to immediately drive fast. So I see the speed monitor go from 35, 40 to up and up and up. Well, now at this point, I'm screaming. There's like 60 seconds to this stop sign. My house is right there. Hell, I didn't think about fight or flight to get out the car. So my fight or flight was yelling, hey, what the fuck are you doing? And this individual's under the influence of what the fuck I'm doing. This individual is driving and laughing at me. My heart is pounding. I can literally almost see my life flash before my eyes. And that's a motherfucker right there. When this individual, the driver, sees the four-way stop sign that's been there the whole 5 years we all been on the block, hello, somebody, decides at damn near 100 miles an hour, at least, to come to an immediate stop. And so you can imagine you're coming down, there's an in bank, four-way stop sign. He proceeds to drive as fast as hell and bam, tries to stop at the stop sign. The car hits the in bank, it's up like this. Three of the passengers, which was four of us, three of the passengers immediately jumped out the car. And I quote, one of the passengers said, this bitch is dead, right? I'm not dead. The fuck? They take off running. Now I'm in the vehicle. There's this tree branch that's right between the car, like between the driver's side and the car, just going right across. So there's a tree branch. This is me. The window's busted. I cry. I feel my head. Nothing. I feel my teeth. Thank God they're still there. At this time, I don't know how to get out the car. One of the individuals, I don't know how much time was in that, come back to get me. And from what I remember, shortly after that, I was taken home and from home to the hospital. As a reflection, I ended up having to wear a neck brace for 4 months because my neck was fractured. I tell you what, I should have listened to that inner voice in my head, and it could have cost me my whole future. It caused me delay in my future because I was forced to wear a neck brace for 4 months. And ideally, if I would have listened to that quiet voice in my mind and in my head, the thought that was saying you go and you go with the people you came with faded away, and the fear of I'm just going to stay with the people that's already probably under some type of bullshit influence. But as a result, I was in a neck brace for 4 months, and I did sue. I sued the fuck out the driver, and it worked out for me. But it was something that paused me because at that moment I realized an individual or anyone in that car didn't give a damn about my life. Hell, they pronounced me dead and I was not even knocked the fuck out. But it also gave me insight on what people some do in fight or flight, and their fight or flight was to leave a bitch at the damn car scene of wreck as if police and things wouldn't occur that leads up to shows clearly someone's been hurt here. So not listening to that inner voice froze my future. So that was, you know, bad for me and it changed my life. But at the same time that it changed my life, it also taught me to pay attention to that voice in your head. So what does the inner voice in your head say? Like the inner voices in our head for me, it says intuition versus fear. God's whisper versus the noise of the world. Do you feel where I'm coming from, or how self doubt drowns your purpose? Mhm. Your your inner voice isn't loud; it's constant. Fear yells and faith whispers. So what? Why do a lot of us, or myself, why do a lot of people sometimes stop trusting ourselves? And what I found in a lot of things with even myself is that past mistakes that you've made, and then you start not trusting yourself. But you got to forgive yourself. You made past mistakes, forgive yourself. It's a mistake. You understand what I'm saying? It's a mistake. Let it go. It is truly a mistake. We're not perfect, so we make them, but you can't beat yourself up for the rest of your life because of a mistake. You can only do better. Let go. Let it go. Being a single parent and having to put yourself last can also make you want to stop trusting yourself. Because when you become a parent, automatically you're last. You know, um, and sometimes that's hard, but you have to be a productive parent, and unfortunately, and that's just the way life is. To be a productive parent, you have to, and you will for sure have to be last. Last. Put yourself last because you can't put yourself first no more. You was put first when you were just yourself, but when you became pregnant, now and you are put last, and those things is put first, what falls me back into another fear that some people may stop trusting themselves. The fear of failing your kids. And I used to have that fear. I used to carry that fear and I let it go. I tell you, I let that fear go. The fear of my children failing, more of my fear was the fear of what the world would do to my children. Because once they became adults and had their own family or just became adults in general, I knew that their actions on how they raised their children, how they ran their household, how they conducted themselves out there in the world was a tattoo of what I did to raise them. And so the fear of failing them, I didn't never really feel like I failed them. I had to let that go, because that can be heavy on a single parent or parents. So no, don't do yourself like that because you are enough. You carry your own weight, and trust that you did a good job with the children, you know, so they can live in this wonderful society, And there goes that dog. I hear that dog every time I air. He wants to be on my show. Back to what I was saying. Okay, sorry, I got a little tough. And now there's a question. It's understanding that the mistakes you made or that the mistake, and also the fear of, we just understand that the mistakes that they will make are mistakes of their own, and you can only help them along the way. Like, hey, that probably wasn't a good choice. So yeah, so now it's the question on here's the question on trusting yourself to build a better future. I think I'm trying to think. I think for me, and I've been working on it a lot. I've been working on it a lot, but I have just a few tips that I wrote down that it truly helped you build a better future. That it helped me, and I'm still a working process. So don't think that I'm not. I'm setting up here giving stories and you know trying to motivate myself as well as others that I haven't been through some shit because I've been through some things where I wasn't sure if I could motivate myself, let alone other people, right? I was, just recently, as good as yesterday, I had a long, challenging day, and I speak of boundaries and self love and, respect and, when to go, when to stay. And I just, I lost myself for just a second, because I didn't want to be selfish on the air during my stream and speak on how to keep yourself going even when you feel less zero energy. And so I at that moment I allow my emotions to uh, pause what I should have been doing, right? But then I realized immediately, come on now, this is just a day. It wasn't a good day, but it's not the end of anything. Keep going. And I did. I did. I did. So I'm not perfect, you know, and nobody is. So we have our moments, even the best people in the world, even, it's called mask. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to put a mask on. I didn't want to do that. And so I just decided, you know what, I'm going to take a break for just one day and I'm going to build my boundaries back up because I allow other incidents and other people and other situations to crowd and put me at a crushing moment. And it happens to the best of us. But as I said, I had questions that I feel like I want to share with you guys on how to keep yourself, trusting yourself and building the future that you deserve. One thing that I've done is listen before I react because, oh my God, I listen, but then I would react. But sometimes I would react before I'm actually listening. So, in order to build a better future, I had to listen, right? Before I react. And then it was always pray before deciding. Whatever you believe in the higher power, you pray to your higher power before you decide what to do. I think that that's a good thing. And take little leaps, not too big, because you're just trying right now. Just take them little steps, little sips, one thing at a time, one thing at a time. And last, giving yourself permission to grow. What do I mean is giving yourself permission to do things different and feel okay with that. It is okay to switch up for yourself, not switch up for other people. Never that. Don't change your clothes for another person, but to switch up for yourself, that is different. And it also is very empowering. And a better future does not come from knowing everything. Understand a better future, a better future does not come from knowing everything. It comes with trusting what you already feel. And again, I am not perfect, and I've made so many errors with these tongue twisters, but I'm going to let this keep streaming because I'm proud of who I am. I make mistakes, and that's exactly what it is a mistake. And then, you know, when it comes to trusting what you already feel. And I also want to remind you that all my viewers, you are not behind. You are not behind. Your future is still unfolding, and that inner voice is God given. Hello, somebody. Now, can we normalize the struggle of doubting yourself? Doubting yourself does not mean that you're broken. It means you Doubting yourself does not mean you're broken. It means you survived. Hello, somebody. You survived. Trust the rebuild. Trust it. And then if trusting yourself feels hard, it's not because you're weak. Please remember that. It's not because you're weak. It's because you are strong and you've been strong for a very, very long time. And it's okay because you're in control. It is okay. You are in control and you control your future. I control mine, you know. Before I have a few deep, bold questions that I wanted to ask. And nobody may not even answer them, and you don't have to because I'll answer them, and then maybe later you want to leave a comment, you can answer. But the one thing I said was, what is something you know you've grown out of, but you haven't let go yet? Um, I gotta wait for that for me. What is something I've grown out of, but I haven't let go? See, that's like a two-way question. See, I've grown out of bullshit, but I haven't let go of checking people. Okay, let me say that in a different way. I'm just being real as fuck right now. But something I know I've outgrown, but I haven't let go yet. I haven't outgrown, the fact that if you be funny with me, that I can get real active. And I don't mean kicking your ass, active in the mind. Like I know how my silent game is a motherfucker. So I do feel that was something I have outgrown but haven't let go yet. Well, if we would be just typical, I have outgrown a lot of things. I've outgrown arguing, but then I haven't let it go because if you tap my shoulder the right way, I might argue back. And again, I'm not perfect. I'm just being honest, right? I'm just being honest. So maybe you understand, maybe you don't. But honesty saves lives, real life shit. And then another question that I had is if you, it's some, okay, let me think. I was trying to think of another bold question, but I didn't write one down. But with an ending remark is sometimes the answers that we have been looking for has been there the whole time. Encouraging, right? Wow. That just gave me encouragement because sometimes you see the very thing that's meant for you right there in your face. And remember, a better future for any of us, it's not built overnight. Encourage them, encourage yourself, take small steps that's aligned with who you are. Take the steps and it lines you up in who you are. One phone call, one prayer, one application, and one boundary. Stop waiting on permission from other people because there are so many of us in the world that's waiting on other people's approval, family, friends, social media. And I tell you what, if you're living for other people's approval, you're never going to be happy. You got to live for yourself. Don't live for other people's approval. Live for you. Fuck their approval. You know, literally, if they don't like the way you wear your hair or they don't like the way you dress in all black, I'll give another quick story. I love dark clothes. Mhm. I like the black bracelet. Looks like punk rocks, the little spikes on the bracelet. I like the fishnet stockings. I like the little black dresses. I think it's called the gothic look. I don't give a shit. I love it. I have the big boots with the big heels on. I want to get up and show you guys right now. But I'm different and I don't give a damn if the people in my circle say, "Hey, why are you dressing like that? What's wrong with you?" There's nothing wrong with me. This is who I am. And unfortunately, you can't be a people pleaser because people in the world, you could be a person that, struggled all your life to lose weight. And then someone says, "Oh, I haven't seen you while you're gaining weight," or "Oh, you're losing weight and you've been fighting." For me, I get a lot of, "Oh, you're so thin." No, I'm like, bitch, do you not know how I struggle to keep my weight up? Thin is crazy, but those are people in the world, and you cannot be a people pleaser at the same time because people want to please themselves. And sometimes, putting, other people's standards on you, they're okay with that. Don't let nobody put their standards on you. They get to putting that standard line to them. Fuck around. Don't put your standards on me. Don't let no one put their standards on me. You know. So don't wait. Just don't wait for approval with nobody. You know. You are who you are. Your past, I will say this, we are who we are. Your past does not disqualify you for who you are. Your past does not disqualify you from anything. Okay, remember that. And and your past does not disqualify you for your purpose. Your past does not disqualify you from your purpose. It doesn't. And being single doesn't limit your destiny. Just because you're single, it doesn't mean that you can't conquer your dreams. And starting over doesn't mean you started from nothing. So when people say they started over, don't ever get the misconception that they started over because they started from nothing. Don't. And that also goes in alignment with don't judge. So, limit the negative voices and stop over discussing plans with people who don't understand them. Don't waste your time over discussing your goals and your dreams with people who's never going to understand your dreams or never going to support them. You're just wasting your voice. And fear isn't a stop sign. It's simple. It is simple, and it's fear. Fear isn't a stop sign. It is a signal. And I know I stumbled on that. I guess it's the two S's: signal, stop sign. I'll say it again. Fear isn't a stop sign. It is a signal. But if it scares you, but stretches you, it is probably necessary. Take a deep breath. With the ending of my show, I want to thank you for spending time with me. I want to thank you guys for spending time with me today. I mean, to me, it's been a wonderful show. I want you to always remember to keep listening to your inner positive voice, you know, encouragement, keep walking in faith, keep trusting in yourself, and never forget to take a leap of faith because dreams do come true. So, you are wonderful, you are smart, you are beautiful, and you are worthy. Don't let anybody take that from you. So, I want to thank you all for tuning in. It's been a great pleasure. I'm happy. 33 minutes of your night. Oh gosh, I don't know where it came from. But thank you guys for being a part. And that's the end of my show. I want to thank you again for tuning in. I'm coming from the Midwest. Please subscribe to my show. Like it. If you know anybody that could relate to this show, please like it and share it. And eventually we'll all be friends and guys will start tapping in all the time. So it's been beautiful. You're blessed. You're loved. You're worthy. And trust in your inner voice. And guarantee once you do that, you will have the future that you truly, truly, truly deserve. So thank you.